Hi, my name's Bryce. Welcome back to VHS Play, where we are continuing to play the haunted PS1 demo disc and recording it all on VHS. Last time we played Snowy Castle, Fatum Battaglia, I'm going to screw that name up every time, Sauna 2000, and Neko Yume. So, let's see what's next on the docket. A Place Forbidden. The Library of Ouroboros and its vast store of occult knowledge is finally within your reach. In the end, it was almost too easy to find. Hooray, it actually switched over this time. Also, apparently, about an hour after I downloaded this, a patch went, or an update went up, so who knows what I'm not seeing. Anyway, controls. WASD, E, left mouse button, mouse, okay. F for flashlight, that's good to know. Crouch is control. That's a good chunk of options. Library of Ouroboros. I'm finally here. It's almost anticlimactic to stand so easily within its walls after all those years of searching. If the rumors are true, the library contains knowledge beyond anything one might hope to find. Words of power, occult learnings, enough to transcend death. It will be mine. All of it. I just need to know where to look. Almanacs? Useless. Locked. Damn. Why would I leave? I've only just arrived. Books on philosophy, history, and a few stray encyclopedia. Not useful. Volumes stand out on math and physics. The rest are more obscure wings of probably science. Interesting, but not what I'm looking for. This section contains mostly horror novels. How droll. A transcript. I have been having these nightmares, Doctor. I'm alone, but I don't feel alone. Not like I should. Rather, there's no one with me, but that's not to say there's nothing around. It's difficult to explain, but it is an uncomfortable feeling. Something drones low in the background all the while, like my laptop fan. I can hear snatches of whispers, but only just barely. Like something is conversing with me just out of my range of hearing, just as something is watching just out of my sight range. Everything is too still. It's wrong. I don't remember how I got there, and I can't figure out how to leave. Everything is all hallways upon hallways, shelves of books that look like they've never been opened. Almost all of them are still, and yet I get a feeling. Like I mustn't open any of them, whatever I do. There's a pull toward them, of course. The sense that I will learn more than I could ever hope to on Earth. But there's a danger, a vague creeping danger. That feeling that something is very, very interested in every move I make. Who or what it might be, I don't know. I don't know if it wants to bring me in, or if it wants me to leave. Just making sure I didn't skip beats there. Cool. How does it end? Well, as I mentioned, there's no real way to escape. Every place I go leads to more rooms. But eventually, after a time, I don't really hear them so much as feel them? Look no further. Look no further. look no further. And then I wake, and every time I feel farther from this world. To be honest, Doctor, I hope it's all in my imagination. I hope I'm afflicted with some kind of mania. Because a place like that can't exist, shouldn't exist. And if it does, then I can only hope that no one else would be so unfortunate as to visit it. Biographies. I've heard of none of these people. The Minister's Doom, Act 3, Scene 2. Bernice enters, followed closely by the librarian. Bernice is breathless, looking both exasperated and slightly excited. The librarian's expression is unreadable, as per usual. Bernice. But my husband will find out about us. He won't stray out forever. Librarian. I wouldn't be so sure, my dear, but shall we retire to the living room if we're to speak such unpleasantness as your husband? Bernice's face suddenly breaks into a grin. She grabs the librarian's hand, taking him onto the couch bed beside her. Fine then. If you're to stay, I want to hear some of those secrets you keep talking about. You can't play me for the fool forever. I would never claim to do such a thing, my dear. Would you care to hear how I can stop a human heart with but a word? Goodness, that sounds dangerous. It most certainly is. I wish to hear it. Then, of course, you shall. He leans close to Bernice, who closes her eyes as if expecting a kiss. But the librarian leans past her, whispering something in her ear. Bernice's eyes open wide. She gives a single jerk, a strangled groan, and goes limp, sliding off the couch. Too curious for her own good. He stands, reaching in one of his pockets to withdraw a single black case containing Bernice's wedding ring. Taking a cursory look around the living room, the librarian eventually focuses on a single point on the opposite side. The librarian crosses the floor, leaves his item, and turns to leave. As he does so, the scene darkens, leaving only a single spotlight to illuminate the stage. It is fixed on the small black case, which the librarian has decided to leave sitting atop the minister's writing desk. A little dust mote. That's... there's so few of them, but it's that's a good particle. So, in case it's not obvious, my voice is still kind of wrecked from being sick for, ever. And I've kind of made a poor choice starting off with this one. But we'll get through it. A partial history of the library. The Library of Ouroboros wasn't so much built as it simply came to be. That much we've been able to glean from the early murky tales about a certain endless structure rich in occult knowledge. The first tale was penned by an unnamed Gaelic mystic, who compiled a variety of accounts from travelers complaining of strange dreams. Many of these travelers' accounts of the place were the same. Endless hallways of strange materials, magic devices which seemed to give off light or sounds without any visible source. But rarely were there many tangible details aside from these characteristics and the font of knowledge ringing the walls of the place. This, of course, changed in approximately 670, when the mystic was visited by a lone woman. She was reportedly wild-eyed, half-mad, and complaining of dreams much the same as her fellows, but she claimed that these dreams became reality, briefly, and that she at one point even visited that bleak place. She claimed to run into a dark, amorphous figure with a score of glowing red eyes. This figure apparently spoke to her, promising her black knowledge should should she only pledge herself to it. Though the mystic asked about, God, I can read, I swear. The text is pretty small. It's on a CRT across the room. Again, covering, like, everything kind of gets scaled down a lot. And also, it's kind of across the room. And my eyes are not the best. Though the mystic asked how this woman escaped such a place, the woman gave him no explanation. In fact, she spoke no further, withdrawing from the mystic's hut to begin her traveling anew. She was never seen or heard from again. This testimony is hardly a concrete example of the library's existence, but it certainly makes one wonder. If tales like this could exist from the earliest days of modern man, what other truths could lie buried deep in the past? Should one be willing to tunnel through the cobwebs of years to reach the ancient tales hidden beneath? Those really long shadows on this very small fan are really effective. It doesn't help that my laptop fan is going pretty hard right now. So it's kind of masking like any noise that the game might be making. It is immobile. I can only imagine strange arcade secrets lies behind its varnished surface? Who knows? Still locked. Still, why would I leave? Novels, science fiction, and fantasy, as well as a few stray romance novels. There's not a whole lot to interact with, it seems. And it's just a room of books that I can't read. And a few that I can. Very curious. Like, it's just one small room with nothing moving but the little motes of dust and this one fan. And it's legitimately, like, I've got like, my hairs are standing on end. I'm just kind of expecting something to just appear. Aha, there was a third book. On the Founder. They came to the domain, a blank canvas in the cosmos, from places unknown and as old as time. They have existed longer than man, longer than the sentient stones of Ur, longer than the cosmic forces that run through all things. They have always been. They saw the ruin that coursed through the universe, the constant in and out flux of entropy. And with entropy went items of worth, and it was that worth that they sought to salvage. Not things, ideas, thoughts, power intangible. Through the years, they reached for their powers. Through the years, they reached, for their powers were immense. Through eons, they snatched up secrets dark and light. But it wasn't long before it all became too much, even for those ages. Skipping ahead a little bit, this kind of stands out. The remaining pages have been torn out of this book. In their place is a single piece of lined paper with an untidy scrawl standing upon it in red ink. The key to go further could have been deciphered from the last word in each of these books, but I tore them out. I couldn't let anyone else go any deeper. Sorry, but trust me, it's better this way. As you close the book, you make out a single word scratched, not written, into the inner cover. Your predecessor must have missed it, or else it was made after the note was placed. Telephone. This is a problem with having the sound down real low. Desk beneath telephone. Welcome message. From all our staff, welcome. We're glad you're here. As we're sure you're aware, the Library of Ouroboros is located in a picturesque part of Britain, atop a grassy knoll east of Sussex. Many rural townships, obviously bereft of their own libraries, refer their villagers to the library. It is beloved by all. We hope you'll take your time perusing our vast stores of literature, non-fiction, fiction, occult knowledge, cursed knowledge, words to melt the eyes of anyone who reads them, psalms of murder, and otherwise. You'll certainly have time enough, Bernard. You'll certainly have time enough. God, this quiet is killing me. I said that and I heard something. Well, we found a key. If I don't sound excited, it's because I'm spooked. The book mentioned my name. A coincidence, nothing more. Besides, it was mistaken. The library wasn't in England. I found it in the German city of Ulberg, sequestered behind something. Such a small, unassuming font. As if by looking so plain, it might hide. This text goes by fast for me. Again, I am like across the room on a CRT with all sorts of just ridiculousness in terms of several adapters to get this this visual over here. Oh, jeez. Okay, you know what? We've been on this one. A frigid scene. There was no fog outside earlier. There were also no blinds there. And then they just appeared. I'm really digging this one. This one is that slow crawling fear. Like, you're an avid reader, aren't you, Bernard? You can't read these books. But don't fret. They'll pave your road to new knowledge. If you're stuck, think of yourself like a cataloger or a librarian. That has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? The case toward the windows seems as good a place to start as any. Close enough. It's so dark. Those blinds just like popping in, and this one being like all off kilter. I got goosebumps. That's locked as well. Damn. Yeah, this is just like that slow creeping, crawling sensation. This is really, really cool. Hello, plant. Case towards the window. But yeah, like every time I look away, the that's some good spooks right there. Just, it's such a small detail of just like, here are the blinds on this window. Just keep changing every time you look away. What did they mean case near the window, though? Case towards the window? Okay, we've been at this one for half an hour. For a moment, it looked like those bookshelves were, like, tilted. It's that shadow that threw me off, and it was just like, what? Alright, so we've given this one half an hour. I am really, really digging this. I would strongly recommend that this one gets checked out, because I feel like I'm missing something. And like, got some pretty intense chills out of this one. And again, with the blinds just changing when you're not looking, it's such a subtle effect, but it's really powerful. Okay. Yeah, this is really rad. I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this one. We'll move on. Alright. Next up, we have Heartworm. Sam receives a strange tape in the mail. Watching it brings her to a deeply unsettling place that feels strangely familiar. Oh, this looks like At first glance, it has that Silent Hill feel. Wait for it. Still waiting for it. It's not like showing up in my taskbar somewhere. Did I misclick this time? Well, there we go. Demo. It's tank controls. Ah, yes. Take this character design. Alright. WASD, move around L to use and interact. That's different. Because I won't need my mouse. Tab for inventory, shift to run. Escape for pausing controls. I don't need to use the bathroom right now. I haven't left the apartment in a week. It's not going to change now. Oh man, that's a nice camera transition. That like slight slide there. I dig it. Clinician's evaluation. Oh, that text is small. Okay, so I mean, if you've seen me playing Resident Evil 3, you might have seen some of the notes there. But yeah, this is very much like that same style and font. Subjective. Sam redacted. 23-year-old female. Average height, weight, no relevant medical history. Patient reported insomnia, recurring intrusive thoughts related to self-harm, harm to others, low self-esteem, obsessive tendencies, episodes of panic, and high baseline anxiety, 7 of 10. Patient described these symptoms as chronic and varying in severity, possibly related to traumatic events from childhood. Patients also mentioned social relationships suffering as a result of symptoms. Observation: preliminary labs returned normal. Heart rate and blood pressure elevated. Why did I pick games with a lot of reading today? Excuse me. My throat is still recovering from a real junk virus. Patient avoided eye contact and appeared anxious. She only spoke when queried. Patient appeared detached, preoccupied with thoughts. Assessment: the following diagnoses are based on currently available information and may change as additional information becomes available. Post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, anxiety disorder, unspecified major depressive disorder, recurrent moderate panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder. Plan: need to gather more information. Patient referred to psychiatrist for further evaluation and urged to follow up at clinic In 7 days, patient encouraged to research exposure therapy. Interesting. Yeah, it's a rad character design. I'm not hungry. The question is, which bookshelf did that tape come out of? So I thought it was this one, but I don't see a tape. Oh, it came through the door. I picked up the VHS tape. I put the tape in. Let's see what's on it. Those textures are real nice. Well, alright. The doors are locked. This car looks so familiar. What's going on? Do you remember? Hmm? It's locked from the other side. This wall is covered in deep scratches. That's a camera angle right there. That is phenomenal. That is a really powerful camera angle. Oh, that is solid. A handful of non-fiction novels. Nothing particularly interesting. The TV won't turn off. There's a VHS player. There's no tape in it. Oh, that is another really good camera angle. Like, look at that. I unlocked it. Hallucinations as a trauma-based memory. Implications for psychological interventions. Routine information processing involves a process called contextual integration, whereby detailed encoding of incoming stimuli takes place, which facilitates, I don't know why I'm struggling with that word, facilitates later memory recall. For example, being able to remember who was at your birthday, recalling a full contextual image of the event. Also, being able to remember what happened before and after a specific event date due to the integration of relevant temporal information. However, during a traumatic event, the need for a quick behavioral response requires rapid information processing. This is achieved through a temporary decrease in contextual information and a quick response based on a basic perceptual processing. The provision of a rapid response to danger has the consequence of a vulnerability to experiencing intrusive memories of the stressful event at a future date. The reduced contextual processing of the trauma stimuli makes them difficult to recall on a voluntary basis due to the lack of integration with cues which normally facilitate recall. However, the information is typically triggered involuntarily by stimuli which have a perceptual match to some aspect of the traumatic event, e.g. a sound or visual stimuli that involves memory of the event. Therefore, within these theories, reduced levels of contextual integration are considered central to the development of trauma-related intrusive memories. Therefore, the intrusions may be maintained through a number of cognitive and behavioral processes, such as avoidance in order to develop a presentation of PTSD. However, in order to be diagnosed with PTSD, the individual or their clinician, that doesn't sound right, but that is right, is likely to be confident that the intrusions are in fact memories of a stressful event. A number of pages are destroyed. In summary, the relationship between hearing voices, seeing visions, and traumatic events continues to intrigue clinical researchers. However, a full theoretical understanding remains elusive. The subgroup of voices and visions which are directly linked to stressful events are likely to be responsive to interventions which are based on a well-developed theoretical understanding of reactions to trauma. That is my mouse. I don't need that. The requisite creepy painting in a weird old house. No surprises here. More books than I would know what to do with. One of them is missing. That is such a good camera angle. And then I come back to this one, and it's just so strong. Oh man, that... Bravo just for that camera angle. Like, that is great. Stairs are completely blocked off. Alright, I didn't see any red book inside the house. The garage door won't budge. The opening is too small to crawl through. It looks like some kind of hatch. The doors won't budge. The gate is locked. A chain and padlock are wrapped around the handle. Okay, so I can't get upstairs. I need a red book. Oh, that's a nice, like, backwards walk animation. Like, she's looking behind her and, you know, going slow and steady. Like, dig it. Okay. You're not a bookshelf. Dang. Or at least, no red book. Man. Okay, that got me confused a little bit. Well, that was the inventory screen. It's a little bare bones, but, you know, nothing wrong with that. It's terrible outside. Alright, you know what? Let's get one more game in. We've been on this one for about 20 minutes. Really? That long? Jeez. But yeah, this definitely has the proper feel of like a PS1 era survival horror tank control sort of game. Like it feels right in that space between Dino Crisis and Silent Hill and Resident Evil. Like, graphics wise, it's probably a little closer to Code Veronica X, but that's fine. Like, you know, again, these are PSX era, like, not has to be exactly PlayStation hardware specifics, yada yada. But it feels like a PS1 game. Like, it really does have that sort of feel to it. It's completely blocked off. That's another really good camera angle. It's like I want to keep playing, but I also want to move on to see what else is on the demo disc. This project is still just like, overall, this whole demo disc thing is super cool. Alright. Oh dear, I still have another copy of this game going. There we go. Interesting. Filth Breed. Well, we've gone from pretty Resident Evil-like, and somewhere in that space between Resident Evil to Silent Hill to something that seems to just be like first-person Silent Hill. Filth comes crawling out of the cracks. Alright, legitimately, we just wait now? If nothing else, this one seems to be a bit more action-oriented. Again, still a lot more resolution than I have on a CRT. Made with Unity. Hooray. Ooh boy, those buttons are barely on screen. But that sounds really similar to that Resident Evil menu noise. Oh, geez, that is tiny text. It is developed by these people. I don't think this is going to come across it's legible at all. Made by Sorja. I cannot read this, I'm sorry. Hey, I found it. There's a button down there that says back, apparently. It is off screen for me. Who knows if it'll show up in the edit. Welcome to Filthblood. Would you like to read the tutorial? Sure. That text is very small. So, this is where I'm going to get on my little soapbox. Please make text larger. I know I'm definitely playing this in like the most awkward way possible, but also like the last couple games have had really small text. Like just shoot for way too large of text. Like that's really the best option. It's yeah. Just make text nice and big, easy to read. Like the launcher has had, very large text for game descriptions. It being in italics actually makes it kind of difficult to read, but it's at least large, so, it's legible enough. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm going to try to read some of this. Click to advance the slideshow. Narration, use arrow keys to move, mouse to look around, find a gun. Man, my mouse doesn't have like a real scroll wheel, so that's going to be rough. You can't interact with objects in your surroundings. If you're ready to open fire, lower your guard and holster your weapon by scrolling down. Click on objects to interact with them. Depending on the prompt shown at the bottom of the screen, I'm probably not going to be able to see that with my setup, honestly. Ammo is sparse. There's no health recovery, so don't go in guns blazing. Hey, I found the button. Okay, that is just... Really? Look at this text. It's way too small. I legitimately cannot read this from where I'm sitting, and I'm sorry about that. Having something record. Like, this is not just an indie sort of thing of, hey, use bigger text. Like, AAA games use tiny text all the dang time, and it's really, really obnoxious. Like Final Fantasy 15, I had to sit right in front of my TV in order to read the text in that game. Code Vein has atrocious, like, it is a crime how small their text is. And jeez. Well, you turn back right away and tell your supervisor you found nothing. Your quick report. Well, that's what I get for turning around, I guess. Alright, let's give this another shot. So, yeah, anyway, back on my soapbox for a bit. Like, this is a problem across just games in general. It's just like, oh, hey, here's the tiniest text because, you know, we have like 4K somewhat. Like, you know, everybody is always going on about, oh, I want my 4K setup. And it's just like, why? Those pixels are so tiny that you can't see anything. And developers sure do love their tiny, tiny text. Like, I don't know. It's been a big problem for me in the last couple, generally, like, big Japanese releases. It's just like, oh, hey, this is, like, supposed to be a console game. And to be fair, like, Japanese living spaces tend to be much smaller, so you're sitting much closer to a TV. That is a terrible noise. Oh, Jesus. What the hell? Hi. Okay, so I'm not very good at this one. I'm too busy ranting about how text should be large. But, like, this text, this is nice big text, nice big text, nice big text. Description's getting a little small and it's kind of wacky font. This being in italics makes it a little bit harder to read, but it is still a nice big font. And yeah. Just, this is for every developer ever. Make your text bigger. Like, that's really all it comes down to, is just make your text bigger. Do I want to give this one more? Let's give it one more go. So far, I've accidentally turned around, clicked on the door back, got called a wuss. We've meandered and I've ranted about text size and gotten eaten by the cockroach man or something. God, this really is just like, it's so hard to see anything. And it's meant to be dark and atmospheric, and that works. Okay. We found a gun. I took the gun right out of his pocket. Okay. And... okay, back on my soapbox for a sec. A lot of walking... there's a lot of games where you have exploring notes and like you have those stylized fonts like this. They will have like some sort of option for you to be able to just like show the text as like plain, easy to read UI text. That is another just really good thing that people should do. Just because like this font is really hard to read, and not just because I'm across the room from it, but because it is just like, this is a very, it looks like it's handwritten, and that's the point. But it is just like, it makes it really difficult to read, and I just, it would be great if there was an option to just like show it in plain text. If only I'd had the balls to do it before. It's too late for me now. Whoever's reading this, I pray you can make better use of it. Just don't bother aiming for the head. I've seen those freaks last well over a week without it. Well, glad I... well, crud. I've stopped my recording timer and clicked on something random. Here we go. Back in the game. You were right, Sally. We should never have... I can't tell what that says. These crazy dudes. Okay, excuse me. My throat is going on this. Keep us in the dark, cramped. We're just animals to them. I miss you, Sally. I miss being home. Hear them chanting again. It's time. Okay, you know what? My throat is going. We're going to call this... tactical retreat. That's better. Okay, I have rated a little bit too hard about text size and fonts and junk. Excuse me. I really don't feel like I gave this one a fair shake, because I kept getting hung up on like the text and just like, again, it's my setup, my hooked up to a CRT across the room at horrible resolution, so it's really hard to read these things, and that's a lot of that comes across as unfair to this game. It seems neat. It's real spooky, and like the sounds for like the cockroach men, whatever they are, is really, it's really solid. It's definitely one of those like I don't know what is the word I'm looking for. It's not entirely my bag. Like that's basically what it comes down to. It's like this one in particular doesn't seem entirely my jam. And I don't feel like I gave this one a fair shake, and it really does not help that my throat is going right now. So, yeah, it's a good little spooky shooter thing. I'm curious what else there is to it. Because, again, I didn't really give this one a fair shake because I did bad, and then I was doing okay, except now my throat's not. So, Heartworm, really intrigued where this one was going. And A Place Forbidden, that one, that's my jam. Like, that's some slow spooks right there. Alright, let's call this. Apologies for, again, not giving Hillbreed an entirely fair shake. And sorry, my throat is still on the fritz. But thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please go check out the Haunted PS1 demo disc. I'm still really enjoying this. I think we'll make the rounds to the rest of the games in here. We'll see if I ever manage to unlock the secret game that I've heard of. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've been Bryce. This has been VHS Play. Have yourself a lovely evening.